Honestly, when Democrats show you something shiny, what else are they covering up? Folks, this showdown over the border is taking the news cycle away from what the true intention of this mass migration actually seeks to achieve. What's that? Altering the electoral districts by influencing the census. Folks, when Joe Biden took office, he unilaterally started including illegal immigrants in the census. I know they can't vote, but that doesn't matter. Most ignored it. Most people didn't think it was a big deal, but it is. Why do you think the left is freaking out now that Republican governors have started sending the migrants that are going to deep blue cities all over the place? Why are they getting so angry about that? Because that will have the opposite effect of their plan. And when they get moved here by people like Greg Abbott, where do the Democrats send them then? Well, in New York's case, upstate. Why? That's a whole lot of red, not a lot of blue. And a mass flow of migrants to offset the census will allow Democrats to redraw congressional lines that are more favorable to Democrats. It's gerrymandering at its finest, under the guise of helping poor little migrants. You don't have to win the district if you can change who's in it. Move enough people around, and you can rope big cities that vote reliably blue into previously red rural districts and turn them blue overnight, all because you changed the census, moved a couple lines around on the district without casting a single ballot. Case in point, look at Connecticut. Why does the 5th congressional district here have a weird shape off to the right? I'll tell you, the entirety of the 5th district outside of that very little part on the right there is very, very conservative, but it's also rural. Democrats needed to pull in the very left-leaning city and the suburbs of Hartford to offset that to ensure Democratic electoral victories in every district. Connecticut's basically a square. There's a reason that all 5 districts are not. And the left is going to do this in every single state by moving huge numbers of migrants to wherever suits them to redraw these lines. And they have 20 million migrants to move around. Do that math. Each congressional district is comprised of about 750,000 people. Most districts are plus or minus 1 to 4 points in either direction during an election. Republicans hold a 2-seat majority right now. If Democrats can move enough of the 20 million people to congressional districts to include one part of a densely populated liberal blue city into a red rural area like they did in Connecticut, they take back that House seat. Cities are 20 to 30 points in favor of Democrats in most places. Who cares if they have to shift 10 of those points into another district? Next, why do you think they want work permits for migrants? Well, because you can't have illegals working on state and federal bank jobs. But what has Biden been pushing for?
The largest investment in infrastructure since Dwight Eisenhower's interstate highway system.
Huge, unaccountable infrastructure spending at the sole discretion of his Democrat buddies and the labor unions. What jobs will most of the migrants fill? Well, they're not getting hired at Raytheon, guys. They're going to be mostly unskilled labor. Labor for big state and federal grant infrastructure jobs. Build those bridges, those highways, and other infrastructure projects in those congressional districts that Democrats want to change. Boom. You don't even need them to vote. But even better, if you can fast-track their ability, which Dems are counting on. And this is where the Texas conflict comes in and the recent gift the Supreme Court just gave them. The Democrats are hoping this gets totally out of control. This disarray is a feature, not a bug. They will then come to the table with what they call a compromise. And the Senate, with Mitch McConnell, has already gotten some Republicans on board with some of this stupid stuff. These are crazy initiatives, like you see there at the bottom, expedited work permits. We talked about this yesterday. Wait till this thing blows up between state and federal officials, and then they'll come into the table and say, oh, hey, you know what, Republicans, you might have been right about this. This actually is really bad. I tell you what, we'll build a wall if you give citizenship or voting rights to all the ones that are already here. Republicans will probably cave, as they always do. I know it sucks, but when they do, pow, without even knowing it, they'll be eliminated from enough House seats for the next 25 years. The Democrats will control the budget, the law process, and even impeachments. And Republicans never saw it coming. This is about votes, that's all. The largest margin of victory ever was 17 million under Ronald Reagan versus Mondale. He won 49 states. The left has imported more than 20 million people into this country, and they're banking on a compromise from Republicans to allow massive amounts of them to vote. But the crazy thing is, they don't even need to. I just told you why. It is, in fact, that the overwhelming majority of first-time voters new migrant citizens, vote Democrat. This is about nothing else than Democrats winning elections. And Republicans have not caught on to this yet. And this is why I get so mad at Republicans about not holding the line and how they keep giving an inch, then a foot, then a mile. The Democrats are willing to have 70 million people a year die of fentanyl. They're willing to destroy our communities, make cities uninhabitable, explode with crime, and they're willing to pit state against federally employed Americans against each other for power. And that is why we must hold the line in Texas. For lack of better terms, ironically enough, this is the electoral Alamo. State troops must build this wall, and they have the legal authority to do it. Any state property should probably bar federal officials from entering. 25 states agree with me on this, by the way. But we must not come to violence. No violence. And among commissioned forces, I don't think that's going to be an issue because these guys, state and federal, who work along the border, know each other, they work together, and a lot of them respect each other. They probably live in the same communities. They're Texans. And I, being a service or a former service member myself, I don't believe these guys will ever fire on each other. But here's where it gets interesting. The First and Second Amendment, the right to peaceably assemble and the right to a well-regulated militia. Texas has legally declared an invasion. A lot of people are really mad about that. Some of those people are making up militia groups, trucker convoys, etc. They're already gathering. The vast majority of these people are good, law-abiding citizens, but the D.C.-hating, anti-establishment renegades that have been waiting for a reason to square off with the feds for the better part of their adult lives, those are the ones you got to watch out for. The FBI is already swarming this area. They've already made some arrests of these people because they've been on their radar for years. Here are the options, though. Greg Abbott has made it abundantly clear that he's taking charge of the border full stop. And yesterday, Ken Paxton, who's joining me in about 7 seconds, he said he won't comply with the Supreme Court order. Don't doubt Texas on this one. And just before I came on, senior border officials, even federal senior border officials, said they have absolutely no plans to take down the razor wire from the southern border, going against the Biden administration, showing that Biden is in fact losing his grip on the situation. But despite that, KJP sounds off again.
Here's what I would say. My message to those, how many governors in that letter?
I believe it's 25.
25 governors. I would say to them that, are they, you said Republican governors?
Yes.
I would say to them that if they truly want to help with the issue at the border, with the immigration system, that they need to talk to the congressional members, the senators in their state. The way that we deal with this is legislatively. The way that we deal with this is for Congress to act.
Yeah, they passed HR 2 and you guys ignored it. But Texas has already passed a law that goes into effect in March that will allow them to detain and deport migrants. And they're going to continue to do it. So Biden can back off altogether, which he probably should, or he can secure the border himself. He's not going to do that. The other option, he can be really foolish here, but I don't see why he would, and who knows. But he could issue Title 32 to Title 10 orders, meaning that he would take control of the National Guard, the state National Guard, thinking that they're going to listen. This is kind of a breaking point. Folks, you heard the phrase, don't mess with Texas. My concern is that Biden is going to learn that the hard way. And this will escalate into a loyalty divide between Constitution and federal command orders. And that might be the shot heard around the world. The only other option I see is the Supreme Court here expediting this case and ruling against the Biden administration, hoping that this de-escalates overnight. Either way, Republicans need to be super careful not to give an inch here. And failing to close the border, is that an impeachable offense? Maybe they should take that up.